3 of them to have half of the assembly and 4 of them to have a majority. So then, obviously, I just want to make sure the assembly is like majority. Not majority any server. Once again, I just said Julia because it was like no other server had a chance in any way having majority. I just wanted to work democratically. I'm not going to do anything as the admin general to move it. I'm going to keep all the votes that are still legal. So, and also I'll say right now in the TUDS constitution that it's already been established, so nothing undemocratic, but in the constitution it does say votes for those TUDS wide seats, stuff like that, are voted on only in the TUDS server. So I understand Julie wants to get their majority, stuff like that, even more now, but those people would need to be in the TUDS server for those votes to count. So if they cast a vote before and then join TUDS server, I will still count it. But it's in the, so when there are going to be some votes that are not going to count because people are going to not be in the TUDS server. But that rule is already in the Constitution itself. So I'm not being undemocratic when I get rid of votes from people not in the TUDS server because they're supposed to be in TUDS server as per the Constitution. Right. So I understand this still isn't going to change the mind of some people. Some people are definitely going to stay pissed at this stuff. But as I think it's Vax in here. Yeah, Vax in here. I don't know who said it. Someone was just saying, as admin general, I'll just have influence, just natural influence. I didn't feel it that way, and obviously I'm not trying to force people to do that stuff or scare them into stuff. But I'm not gonna do anything against them. So, like, if people got mad at me, they're gonna get mad at me if I just endorse someone, and yeah. So,
and I'd like to say that even if Mercutio was being underhanded, I'm not saying he was or he wasn't. I'm saying if he was, that doesn't reflect the position that Mardonia takes in TUDS.
And that's the other thing. With Mardonia, I'm going to ask them not to pull out if Julie gets majority, because in their eyes, for the anti-Julian Mardonians, which is not me, is not. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, it's not too many Mardonians, but like, if they do that, it would just make TUDS even more Julian, which they don't like. And me, I wouldn't have too much of a problem. Like at the end of the day, if servers pull out and it causes a server to get majority, it's whatever. I'm just. And if Julie does get a majority with the elections that happen now, it's whatever. I'm not going to stop it with my admin powers. I'm going to also, as a person who still has a right to vote, I just want to endorse candidates who are not of like one server to not like that, but like I just don't want one server having a majority. Not any one server at all. Not just Julia.
So why do you want to prevent a? Okay, so let me just ask a very brief question. Why do you want to prevent a rightfully won majority? You made the system, by the way.
Oh yes, I did. I didn't make the system. Well, the TUDS wide seats was voted on by the amendment to the Constitution that was voted on by the Assembly, Senate, and then ratified by Nexus Society and Mardonia as amendments to the Constitution. We do send it to the member servers as well to be ratified. But I'll just say this: if the legal votes that come through does give a Julian majority, I will just let a Julian majority happen. If y'all rightfully earned it, y'all rightfully earned it, and y'all rightfully get it. But at the same time, I don't know, because Julie right now has only one seat in total and stuff like that. I don't know what Julie would do with like not just multiple seats, but like entire majority, because like there are some people like who have just even with previous stuff between TUDS and Julia have said stuff like, all right, F TUDS and stuff like that. So I don't know when these people get in. I don't know if they're going to work together to stunt the abilities of TUDS and just make it a lot weaker. But like if a party held a majority of any legislative body and just chose to do absolutely nothing or do stuff that would destroy it, they have the majority for that. Now, I don't think Julie would do that. I'm pretty sure y'all wouldn't do that. I have good faith in y'all. But at the same time, it's just like no server should have a majority. Still just ask a question.
Why shouldn't we have a majority then?
Hey, so I've got to leave. So if someone could keep me up updated on Solar, make sure he's okay and stuff, because
I'll
that was
definitely
terrible.
DM you.
Oh, yeah, I need to send my condolences to him for that as well. But let's Silver ask something in the chat over down here. Stop TUDS 4-8 to Mardonia, who bombed cities multiple times.
Toast,
I'll get the Toast question, but I don't know too much about it. I know something
DM
bad
you.
happened in IRO, but Silver's question, I excuse me. Like in terms of 4-8, we haven't even really did stuff like that. Like I heard stuff like TUDS sent this amount of money. Like we don't have money. We don't have a form of
Yeah, no,
economy right now.
I'm just gonna say ahead of time, just save your breath. Silver is a species of something. So Silver's kind of like his own thing. He's a troll, or they're a troll.
You
But,
see, what I
so
just don't like
what's
about it.
the?
Some people just add to the fire, though. That stuff adds
Yeah,
to the
no,
already
I
bad
can
fire.
I can reassure you. At least Julians are more competent than that. We're not actually going to take that seriously. Now Robbie. So what's the problem with Julia having a majority?
It's less of just Julie having a majority and any server having a majority, because but it's especially any new server. Like once if Julia ends up staying, which by the way they have a full right to leave if they end up finding it won't work or anything like that. But just like I don't know how.
I just want to say, there was never this much of a fuss raised when Mardonia had a majority.
Well, hold up. Actually, I'll get to since I'll get to that since there's more point to when it came to me when I first did the reallocation of seats where Mardonia had half the seats and there's only half that's not majority, just shy of what's needed for a majority. And stuff like that. And then there was still room. I believe at this point Julie was considering joining at that point. So Mardonian influence would have been diluted with Julia joining. So
What's the issue with that though? It's the same majority. It doesn't make a difference. What's the issue with that? This is like genuine hatred towards Julians. You really can't deny it anymore, dude.
I don't hate Julia. I don't know what else to say. It's just like I don't want any server holding majority. Mardonia, what they had when I did reallocation seats, where Hero got one, Nexus got one, Mardonia got two. Mardonia, there's 2 out of 4. That's only half. That's only
the
half.
majority then.
I just want to say, yeah,
Majority 50 plus 1. I'm not trying to.
So
it's still very powerful though, nonetheless, probably.
yeah.
Okay, yes,
so
that is right. It's still very powerful.
To use sports as like a kind of, I don't know, hypothetical, right? In sports, if you go 8-8, right, 8 wins, 8 losses in a season, that is a 500 win %, and that is considered a winning season.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, once again, that's sports. Like, if something came to the assembly, right? But like with the assembly, if something goes 50-50, it's deadlocked and needs a majority pass. So once again, Mardonia getting half is different from any server getting.
But Mardonia essentially decides the outcome. They essentially decide the outcome. It's very unlikely that Nexus Society and Huria will come to the same conclusion. It's extremely unlikely. Let's say if they don't come to the same conclusion, Mardonia decides. If they do come to the same conclusion, it's a gridlock, sure, but Mardonia can tie anything they want to, and they can pass or fail anything they want to. It's practically a majority.
Well, let me just say this: I didn't like Mardonia when I had to announce that Mardonia would have half of the seats. My bad, I got back on this, but I personally didn't like that either. So it's like but it's just like they had like around 10-ish members in the server. Out here had around like 4 or 5. Next society also 4 and 5. So if you do around like every 5 members for one representative in this assembly, you're getting like 10. That's like 2 seats. So it's like I personally didn't like that either. But like I'm just trying to be proportional to it. And and Julie with 15 now is getting 3. They allocate to him, and there's an at large. Which, once again, if y'all win it properly, I will still recognize it. Like, I'm not trying to do anything as admin to like stop it. I'm just trying to be like also being just a member as well, trying to do stuff. I'm once again, I understand that I do have influence, but I've been told I have influence that would, even without my intent, would still influence in an admin way. So, if unless someone else wants to ask more questions or like pinpoint a specific problem about this, I don't know what else to do. Blatant relations. I know. So I keep getting massively pinged in the server.
Robbie, it's very obvious and clear what this is. And I don't know what else I could say. If we're just gonna keep going back and forth. If anyone else has any questions for Robbie, they're free to. They're free to ask. I guess this is Q&A time for Mr. General Robbie.
Wait, hold on, I just got another.
Right. So my question here is, and my main concern is, why did you allow Julia to join TUDS if you feared a majority when we have such a massive population compared to the other servers a part of that?
Well, how I answer that will just the answer that some people was looking for and they hoping I say they would just use it as more reason to say I hate them, which I don't. But like, I wanted to allow Julian to be, just more democratic, stuff like that. But like, if it's hard to answer that because like, at one point I don't want any server holding to it, not just specifically Julia. And right now, Julia is the one that server that it looks like it could hold a majority. But like, I personally, I did not have a problem with Julia joining. Like, I knew it was a possibility, stuff like that. But you know what? The server democratically made an amendment introducing digressive proportionality, stuff like that. So, because if another server came in with like, trying to think, if anything, like if Sim Democracy or Voice Democracy, like crazy large big servers for some reason decided to join, they're also going to get a majority, and they can roll in and do anything. And we're not in the assembly, and of course we have the Senate where each server gets equal amount of representation, so they're not going to get full power. But at the same time, if they control the assembly, they stop bills from passing. They're not going to get other bills passed with only a Senate. But it points. I don't know if I'm making my point, but like, yeah, stay here. Trying to think. It's just hard to answer the question of why would I allow Julia to join, because like I wanted Julia in, but it's like I just don't want any one server holding a majority. So it was like it's like it's easy to pinpoint stuff. Actually, anything I do at this point regarding regulation or decisions about how we take care of one specific server, just setting up a rule or a guideline on how we would deal with one specific server doing stuff. At this point, I can just say anything like that, and like some people are gonna jump on me saying that it's like anti-Julia and stuff like that. So it's like, and I get this thing. It's like it seems a lot easier to see that. It seems like I'm anti-Julia, but once again, I'm not trying to be like that. I just don't want one's. I don't know how hard I can stress that I just don't want one server to hold a majority. And once again, for the new people who are in here, if Julia gets a majority, I'm gonna respect that. I'm just trying to find out ways how I can democratically like work with people, like communicate with them, encourage them to vote and stuff like that. How as also just a person who can regularly vote, I just want to encourage having just people vote. 'Cause, I can't force these people to vote one way. And you know what? At this point, and I'm just going to be more open regarding the vote. So Rack has asked me multiple times about raw data. So yeah, I will do raw data and yes, obviously download the Google Sheet or whatever. But once again, going back to the question of like, why would I allow Julia in? Once again, if I wouldn't allow Julia in, that would be more reason for people in Julia to say, "Yeah, he's anti-Julia and stuff like that." Blah 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 blah. So, like, of course, well, looking at it some way, like the only influence I really had in the decision was just opening the votes using the Easy Poll bot, because that's how the Assembly Senate votes. We use the Easy Poll bot to make the decisions. The question obviously asking, do we want to add Julia, and then yes, no, abstain options, stuff like that. That's really my only influence I had on if Julia joined. And of course, the Assembly and Senate, they can create bills and stuff like that to for any action that's they are allowed to do. So both Assembly and Senate are considered when adding a member server. So they can just create that bill, and for the Assembly, you have the Assembly Speaker, and then the President pro tempore, the Senate. They can create the votes themselves. So, but like, really, the only influence I had, what I'm trying to get at, the only influence I had on Julia joining was just simply creating the votes for the Assembly and Senate to vote on, because they wanted it to pass. And then once again, that's what the democratically elected, or some of them are appointed to fill in partial terms or stuff like that. But they're appointed by their democratically elected legislature, that are home servers. They are decided. They decided to add Julia. So once again, I had no problem against Julia. I wanted Julia in because I know it could be beneficial if stuff like this, if like the claims that I'm conspiring against Julia, if stuff like that, claims like that, aren't made. But like, once again, a claim like this was made, and then of course someone had to even leak that group chat in the first place. But at that point,
well, we know who it is. He's already come public. Everybody give 3 cheers for the best username for helping Julia.
yeah, unrespectfully, not respectfully. I'm blocking about. So I'm not even, because at this point, this disturbed my evening. I got kind of my computer with like 200 BPM heartbeat or stuff like that, dealing with this stuff, because all I see is, F you, Robbie, you still supposed to be democratic, stuff like that. And I see my project TUDS along with other stuff I ever worked on, risking failure again, because people want to assume this and that and the third crap about me. This is like, it's so easy to look at me like that. I understand that, but like, nope. A lot of people didn't want to hear me out, and I immediately jumped on like saying this undemocratic. You did and stuff like that. It's like, so if you gotta clear it out. Someone else just messaged me. Oh, well, that's not regarding what's going on right now. Wait, hold on.
I'm gonna be swapping.
I know it is regarding what's going on.
Sorry.
We'll see. Administrator General Robbie, thank you for coming up here. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for answering some questions. If you want to come back up at a later time, you're free to. Have a great one.
All right.
Okay. All right. So, what was I going to say? So, of course, you know what? It's insane, Robbie. It's insane, Robbie, that people are going saying, F you, I don't care. It's insane. That's very rude, and they should stop. But here's the thing. I can't just stand for blatantly undemocratic practices of going in saying we're going to be specifically favoring this one server in TUDS, especially when we have an entire Senate that would stop such an abuse of power from happening, and also especially considering that Julians, they're not all like the same. They have different opinions. So I don't know if there was some sort of debate that's happening. The grand fear of Julians hijacking the assembly, taking it over. Oh, you want to speak again? All right, feel free.
Yeah, for sure. Bring you up. Right.
So regarding, all right. So you mentioned. I'll mention a few things that you mentioned. I'll respond to what you said. You said we have the Senate. Yes, that is true. We have the Senate to with a equal representation, so that can't happen. But at the same time, if any server was to join and take a majority, they can choose, hey, we can all just collectively cause the assembly to be dysfunctional and then be let's see. Let's see, my head's going crazy now at this point because everyone wants to jump on me, call me shit and stuff, but whatever. But it's like we can't have the. Oh, we could, but like it's not safe to have precedent for that. Like, of course, you could have in a real world of any government, you could have people with like powers that wouldn't make sense to have in a democracy. But then one person could be like, oh well, I'm not going to misuse this power, so whatever. So then people think it's fine, but but that precedent is there to have that. So in this case, having Julia have a majority, that gives a precedent that it's okay for other larger servers, even larger server, because there's always a bigger fish. Julia's a lot larger than the rest of the servers, but there may be a server that joins that's a lot larger than Julia, and at that, all other servers combined and stuff like that, and it they see the precedent that oh, this other server had a majority before. Oh, what if we get a majority? Now, even once again, we have the reallocation amendment that like has the allocated seats. No server can get a majority of those. Stuff like that. But then TUDS wide vote seats that allows them in this case how they're created would allow right now Julia, the big server in the alliance, to have a majority of seats. So
Robbie, this is something that needs to be factored in before a member state joins TUDS. If you feel like their influence is too big and that they're too big for the alliance, then they should.
The other thing about this, I was first surprised to find out that Julia wanted to join after all the other stuff that Julia claimed TUDS and specifically me wanted to do when it came to the condemnation and the
no one was blaming you. Everyone in Julia is very, very on the same page about you. We think you're doing a great job. It's just that this was very much came as like, I think the words that me and Anthony used when we first saw this was it felt like a backstab.
Well, I apologize that it feels like that, but like obviously not trying to do that. But like, if I was to hold up Julian membership, once again, that's another thing that people can claim. Oh, he's trying to be against Julia, stuff like that. And once again, they could say, "Oh, TUDS wants to be against us," and at that TUDS admin general at that point. So it's like, once again, I don't want to be like that, but like, so that if I were to not move the TUDS, approval vote of Julia to be voted on. And I just had to let the assembly do stuff themselves. Now, of course, once again, people won't like the assembly speaker and the president pro tempore, the assembly and senate, respectively. They can make their own votes as well. They can create the votes and have it pass and stuff like that. But like, of course.
Okay. One question.
No. Yeah.
Are you done? All right. One question. You were mentioning before that having Julia be able to have a majority would create precedent for other servers in the future to try to other larger servers to try to gain a majority through the at-large seats. But couldn't this be prevented by carefully controlling like the number of at-large seats available? So the at-large seats just can't be used to just like mob and take over the assembly. All right, and then I forgot my other question. Maybe I'll rethink of it later, but that's my question.
All right. Well, at-large seats right now. No, it wasn't. I'm not going to say not. How do I want to say it? I'm not going to say that at-large seats was decided in a way that would be like not careful thinking or just completely and I want to say that it's not the opposite of careful, but I'm also not going to say it was the way of careful either. Like, admittedly, it was just a number member service plus one. So we got 4 plus 1, 5. That's how I decided that, right? So, yes, Unicorn. Well, Unicorn just said in the chat. Julie can win a majority with the additional seats. At the same time, I'm sitting here trying to control this stuff myself. So, like, all the several member servers have a lot more resources to handle like specific formulas on how they want to control stuff like that. I just had to come up with this thing. I could have asked someone, but once again, it's not anybody else's job to do that. So, like, at the same time, you could say I could have asked somebody else who wants to help me run the like election stuff like that, which actually I can get to that in a second. I'm trying to think because this has my entire evening messed up, but I don't know what Toast just says. He just said something and all right. Well,
I think we're so.
I'm trying to think. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got questions to answer. A bunch of questions to answer. I don't. It's the first time that we had these touch at large seats exist, stuff like that. It's the first time that the assembly is basically anything other than a tiny 3-person council. So, you know what? Trying to think. Yeah. Yeah, so like basically a careful formula to decide how many touch at large seats there would be. If there would be more, it just gives more chances for once again any server to gain majority. Like at that point, if I had like 10 of them of 10 of the large seats, any server could take majority. But any less than that, and then it's like, what's the point of this seats stuff like that? Like it because like with 5 seats, single transferable vote will allow like decently balanced servers to have like decent chances over them. I got a notification somebody just joined with clipping enabled, so I fear that someone's going to say a specific part of me saying something and take that out of context. So
Just so you're aware, Robbie, this is being recorded and this will be posted on the YouTube channel.
The entire thing will be recorded with context.
The entire thing being recorded. Most of it.
Because a lot of this is, even in group chat before any of that happened, I think I said, I'm not trying to use my admin powers to influence election. Now, once again, some people did claim, even as admin general, but not intention. They can say they claimed I can unintentionally, they can claim that I unintentionally had influence as admin and stuff like that. But like,
do you disagree with those statements?
Do I disagree with that? I understand Rack is here and he's the one mainly saying that, and a few others were saying that, but like, I understand you, Rack, was one of the people who has said that. But like, I mean, it's possible. I don't think there is unintentional influence because like, I made that group chat with Mercutio and Best Username, right? So like, and they're regular people who just elected and stuff like that, and like, obviously in any election stuff like that, in any scenario, they could motivate people for whoever they want to vote, stuff like that. So if they wanted to participate,
but you were talking to them. You were the one that brought this up.
All right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I did create it, but like once again, with that, considering the admin influence stuff like that, it's hard to say. Like, obviously, like intentional, definitely not unintentional influence. It's hard to say that, but even then, like how much influence would it have? Because like if the votes came out in a way that's like just wrong because of rogue admin influence, which is not going to happen. Like intentional stuff like that, that's not going to happen. Like people will know. Even then, with the election results itself, whatever comes through, I wouldn't have. The only thing I wanted to do with that group chat when I said that stuff.
We know,
hey,
right?
listen,
We know.
You said that about 5 times.
Look, the point that I'm trying to make is our standards, or at least Julian's standards, are really high concerning this kind of stuff. We have it written and precedent set that the person who owns the server or the server supervisor role isn't supposed to be involved in politics. We had a huge controversy because the person that was supposed to be in this role was engaging in this kind of stuff of like.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask that too.
Yeah, implying or not of like encouraging people to join a party. They did this. They did a really similar excuse that you're doing. Basically, we had a party that had Miku as their like main character, and so the server supervisor, who's in charge of the server, changed their profile photo to this same character in an endorsement. So, another question I have for you is: there's 3 people in this group chat. We have one person in the Senate, best username. We have the chancellor. Why are you in the group chat if you're not acting within your admin capacity? If you're just a regular voter, why are you telling the executive and one of the legislators to do?
Well, I'd say this: both best username and Mercutio. They're as far as TUDS go, they're both legislators. Like Mercutio, even in Macedonia, he's chancellor of their Congress, which is still a legislator. But once again, that just jumps back on the admin influence thing. It's like,
yes, this is about admin influence. You have influence as being in charge of the server. You are in charge. You are the owner of the server. You have influence.
Well, I'll just say that I the honest way to say it is just that I thought that I would not have any influence.
How could you think that though?
Well, like I was just told by Rack himself, just right now, that Julia had their own thing about this. So it's like I don't know
Yeah, and then we had a controversy about it, and then after the controversy, we decided we would no longer allow that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's like
we removed the role because of that controversy.
So, like, what I'm seeing from this, like, of course, since y'all had something like that, like, I think TUDS should just be able to, like, hey, for me specifically, because now this is a thing about me that people don't like about TUDS and the Administrator General specifically. It's like, okay, this should just be an apology. And it's like, hey, I didn't understand this admin influence would actually unintentionally influence, and I definitely wasn't intentionally trying to influence the election.
Wait, you're saying this admin influence you didn't think it would influence, or you didn't? You used your admin influence. You knew you had it, but you didn't use it intentionally, supposedly.
Well,
what sense does that make?
I didn't think I had admin influence, right? And even then, I don't know how strong it even is. So I'll say, no, I didn't know I had that type of influence. Like, I know, like, once again, there's control over the elections, there's that kind of influence, but also just endorsing candidates. But endorsing candidates and saying, go vote for these people, now I'm understanding that there's that type of influence as well. So I'm not trying to, it's hard to explain because, like,
look, in the messages you said that you were going to go out and publicly endorse any non-Julians in the election.
Non-Julian's the keyword. That's and endorse as well. Those are pretty big.
All right, yeah, that does look very bad. Once again, without context, but
It does look bad because it is bad.
Like it's, it's not good.
But some at this point, some people took that as being completely racist towards Julian. It's like at this point, it's like, or ethnically like against them. It's like once again, Julia's taken on the position of the big server here. That's like it could be once again any server. It's like, but it's like any server could be the big server with the majority.
Join. It's not like this was
unpreventable.
But see,
Like,
here's the thing. Once again, if I didn't. If I was once again as admin, if I were to stop Julie for joining, what would that be? Once again, undemocratic and admin influence. So like, if I would have stopped,
it wouldn't be.
If the legislator votes to not allow Julie, sure, we'd probably complain a little bit, but we wouldn't declare you.
But it's not undemocratic because the Democratic legislature democratically chose to not allow Julia in via a vote. Going, word for word by their constitution and by how they function there. So, I mean,
well, okay. So, yeah. So, if the democratically elected legislature, didn't allow you in, obviously that would be still a democratic thing to do. But like, what I was trying to ask there was like, obviously, me, if I would have forced it not to happen. Obviously, that would be undemocratic. But like, once again, I got these other actions now that's resulting from this stuff that's now other people are once again claiming undemocratic. So
yeah, because you're using your influence to skew the results of an election.
Like, it's not just undemocratic; it's outright wrong. You have an automatic influence by being I'll call it supervisor for the sake of the majority of the Julians. You have an automatic influence about you. Because you act in the capacity of the supervisor of TUDS. And
it's my understanding you aren't even supposed to. The only thing you're supposed to do with that role is just post elections and stuff like that.
Well, see, there are some more like roles that allow me to be politically involved. Now we can change this.
But like the bottom line is you're not supposed to engage in any democratic process because you weren't democratically elected.
Oh yeah, that is true. But like, once again, we could change this. Like once again, like.
Okay, but we will change it because you obviously abused this power. But
abuse
the fact that you
means
like power.
So hold on. When you say abuse, are you saying I intentionally abused it or like unintentionally? And
I'm not saying you intentionally or unintentionally, but you
abused it nonetheless.
All right. So, no, I'll apologize for that, but once again, that's like. For anyone, not just y'all two who have constantly already heard me say a bunch of times that was not intentional. Once again, I understand that y'all know that was unintentional. Y'all already said it, but like anyone else who's listening at that point would need to hear that because there are people who are not informed yet and are not going to hear my side of the story who's forever now going to think that I'm intentionally doing it. So like, yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like there's still stuff from the previous TUDS, Julian genre that people are probably still upset about, and this makes going to make them more upset. So like, but like once again, if y'all said y'all had a thing with the supervisor role as well, so it's like I think we should just move, and as multiple servers together. Remove such ability for me to influence it like that, and just and like at this point we need to like wrap it up and like not let it destroy us. So like,
do you want to know what we did?
Yeah,
we removed the role and put power into an admin team. I'm not sure of TUD's capacity to be able to do that. Of have a dedicated admin team to do all that so that power isn't vested within one person. So it would need to be figured out because we can't rely on an individual to just not influence shit.
All right. Well, so that's not me talking,
because apparently some people don't realize when they have influence over something.
Oh well, yeah. Everybody don't like that one. Like they have like, especially enough influence to actually change it. But like, I mean, I guess. Sorry, let me just step back in. How I'm looking at this is that how I see myself doing it. I was trying to act as a member who wanted to just
Right,
have
Robbie,
a regular assembly.
we understand. We understand how you were trying.
I know you understand it, but like, I'm just also trying to like step. Once again, I said step. I'm gonna step back, and also I was explaining what I saw in me, and then I'm also gonna see what y'all saw in me. So to make sure we're on the same page, I'm just saying that. So once again, for y'all, what you all saw. Initially, y'all didn't know if I was intentionally or unintentionally doing it, and then I explained unintentionally, and then either way, it's still influence that is completely wrong. And once again, I understand that, but like the only problem that I have now is that some people still like acting like this is intentional, and I have faith that Julia will understand.
This isn't okay. At this point, we get that you didn't do this intentionally. The bottom line is we now know where everyone's head was at during this. Now we need to figure out a way to prevent this from happening again. And we're not going anywhere with you just saying over and over again of like, oh, look, I was trying to do the right thing and this and that. We get that. We get you're trying to do the right thing. But we need to prevent this from happening in the future.
All right, so what you just said, preventing from this happening in the future. So obviously, we all did. Right. I'm not gonna share my political opinion and stuff like that because I'm not trying to say like y'all trying to force a political opinion out of me. I'm just saying that I just can't actually be saying my political opinion at all because it will influence. So I'm not gonna do that. And as far as actually changing a lot, what laws actually happen, what my powers, if it needs to come to that, we'll change it. But for now, as the admin generals, like for now at least, just not endorse any candidate or not try preventing one server, which once again it could be any server in the future. Well, not anymore because like I'm not gonna influence anyway. Even just trying to pretend like regular member or be a member, I'm just not gonna do anything at all because admin general, from what I've been told, will always have some type of influence in whatever I do, even if I'm trying to act like something else. So I'm just gonna do what admin general, what everyone would expect the admin to do, and not influence elections in any way, even that's just endorsing people and stuff like that. Stuff like that. As a matter of fact, I did also vote on, even though that's technically is allowed. I think I might just repel my own vote. But like all the other votes, if anyone's interested, all the other votes that, especially including Julian, said going to stay. Right, I'm not doing anything to that. So when it comes to once again, but I was just told, just at this point we need to discuss. I still have, but in terms of preventing in the future, I'm obviously not gonna endorse any party stuff like that. I just want to run this advocate at this point. If I lose another policy due to controversy, I didn't lose the previous ones that ran to controversy, but like I have still lost other ones just to dumb crap, and this is more stuff that just shouldn't happen in the first place, but it still happened. Basically, what I'm going to try to say, I'm trying to listen to y'all and what I'm supposed to do to prevent it. For now, I definitely, at bare minimum, not have any intentions in endorsing in any way, either as the admin general, or obviously knew not to do it as the admin general, but like in any way, even as just regular member, I won't do that anymore. Because once again, from what I've been informed, admin general always has an influencer. In this case, we could say supervisor, owner, any admin team thing, whatever.
So Robbie, you repeated what you've done wrong 4 times. Without
Right.
repeating what you've done wrong, how exactly can we fix? How do you think we can fix this and prevent this from happening in the future? What do you think? How do you think we can fix it, Robbie?
The bare minimum and the least.
Not the bare minimum. What do you think we can do to prevent this from happening?
All right, yeah. All right, so what we can do, right? One way it would just be involved in me just not doing stuff, endorsing candidates, stuff like that. Because once again, this is what this stemmed off of. Because just trying to endorse other candidates is what got this whole claims that I'm anti-Julian stuff like that came from first place. So we can go further and change the rules of what admin general can do. But when I was saying, I could also just act in my own way to not hurt TUDS, because TUDS will do whatever it wants. It's nothing where else the member serves. So
okay, here's the thing. We can make rules though. How are we going to handle it if an admin general is not abiding by those rules? What procedure are we going to have for that?
Well, if the admin general, and any supervisor is always going to own the server. So in any way, in the future, in any server, they can always do stuff. But like, how are we going to prevent it? I plan on staying admin general for basically forever, stuff like that. So when it comes to preventing me from doing it, it's just not going to happen again, because I know that I won't do this up, because I learned from my mistakes.
Great.
And
that's awesome that you know you're not going to do it. How do we know that?
Well, I guess you.
The answer is there needs to be a way to remove the admin.
There needs to be a way to remove the administrator general in the event that they violate the regulations that have been put on their role. And Robbie, after this, saying that you plan on being admin general forever is not a great thing. I
don't want to say that as a dictator type like that.
No, I know. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, with a great power and with a great responsibility, there needs to be a way to strip that power from you. That's why presidents can be impeached. That's why people can be removed from office. There needs to be a way to remove the administrator general from office. How do you propose we do that? And would you be in support of it?
Well, how do we do that? The way to actually force me out of the office, the way to do that, the TUDS Constitution empowers any institution in any office, including me. So obviously, a TUDS constitutional amendment would need to be passed by just anyway to several servers, anything like that. Because there are multiple ways to amend it, but like,
give me a moment.
Yeah,
is my mic working?
Yes, we can hear you. But
yeah. Oh yeah, Discord was saying that my mic wasn't working. Alright, so I'd just like to bring up that there are a lot of other concerning powers of the Attorney General. Like, for example, it says that the Attorney General in the Constitution...
Attorney General or
he means Administrator.
Oh, yeah, Administrator General. Sorry. Administrator General...
There are a lot of concerning things in
it. They can completely remove any institution from the whole United Discord servers. It says...
Oh my god, wait, what?
Yes, I will remove that, because like...
Create other offices and positions within the administration at will. It also says that the administration is the only part of the United Discord servers that can define and interpret the Constitution. There's some heavy powers.
Yeah, there are some heavy powers. All this originates from
genuinely no, Robbie, you're actually a dictator.
Hold on. Like, all this originates from when TUDS was very small. I'll tell you this.
There's no way to remove you, and on top of that,
we will make that change.
Add or remove institutions. You can do everything that username or just listed out. It's unbelievable. You're an actual dictator.
Hold up. This came back from when TUDS completely fell apart. Because I made this attempt to run it before. Right? There was 3 previous servers. Even though it says Hero was the first member, there were actually 3 member servers before. Red Union was one of my servers. There's Vesperian Republic. That's another server I said. And Syrian Empire. They all left. Without any of them, there was no assembly. There was no senate. That nothing could be done. There was no executive position. That no one can make a supreme. So really, those I had my server leave because it completely died out. Since it was the only member server at the time, it had the ability. One of the clauses in the Constitution in the amendment section says all the several member servers, but for approval from all of them, even if just one, could amend the Constitution. I made that constitutional amendment. I had my server, legislative body, my old Rad Union server. I owned that server before. I asked them to do that, make that amendment, because like if we're just going to be dead, TUDS Union will not be able to operate because there will be no assembly, no senate, no nothing to operate. That definitely doesn't allow me to be a dictator. But like we can remove that. But that's just old stuff, old relics from back then.
But
like,
it's still, but it's still there.
Yes, it is still there.
It's indicative of the fact that you knew about all of this. You knew about that kind of clause, and
well, we can remove it.
And basically, Robbie, what is happening right now is here. You want to talk about your perspective on all this? Look at our perspective.
I want to listen to it. I do want to hear it.
Okay. So we've essentially caught you red-handed trying to influence the election against us. And so then what we have to do is we have to make a news article to call you out on it, to even get your attention to be able to do something about it. Now,
you already have my attention though, but
not before we dropped the article. I was in your teams for hours asking to be able to oversee the elections.
Well, and also that's another thing I want to get.
Anyway, you knew about this constitutional amendment, but the only way for us to be able to call you out on it, to exhibit change, is if we do our own digging. So at this point, we don't have a lot of reasons to trust you. You've been good up until now, and you have exhibited good leadership qualities. But then it's gone to a point now where the only change that happens is when we have to dig ourselves, and then we have to call you out for shit for powers that you have. You knew about these constitutional amendments, or sorry, you knew about this whole, how TUDS is built. You knew it, and you knew that you had supreme power. You can defend it all you want, and I understand that you have your reasons for why that is, but you knew how it was defined, and you willingly chose to not inform everyone of the fact that you have dictatorial abilities.
Okay, well, you said I could defend it anyway, but like once again, I understand no one's gonna take that and stuff like that. So I understand what needs to happen. Those powers also need to be removed, and that's just stuff that we just add on by
this is beyond that, Robbie. It's the fact that you knew about those powers and willingly chose not to do anything about it.
The TUDS Constitution.
You're only changing it because we're here talking about it right now.
Well, that's the thing. It's supposed to be a democratic institution with other servers outside, like the independent press. It's independent, so like you're able to like, hey, call this out, this anti-democratic server or anti-democratic quality, pretend to be democracy.
You're telling us that it's our job to have to call you out.
Well, not your job, but it's not your job, but it's like. With the existence of it, it just allows for, us calling this out, because there are issues with
people to call you out, and that's the only way change is going to be done.
It's not the only way. I'm not trying to say that.
You knew you had these powers.
Excuse me.
Can we let username speak? And I'll speak.
Okay, so what was I going to say? I'm going to say that there are some examples in this power. Like, for example,
you're kind of
they were advertising bribery. They definitely should remove. Oh, I'm cutting
bribery. I have no idea.
Am I still cutting?
Yeah, you're not cutting. Oh, you're somewhat.
Oh, I'm talking about TFP. TFP. Oh, Robbie, before this was a few weeks ago.
Okay, regarding, hold on, you're still cutting on now, but regarding TFP, this is something I can't give Robbie credit for, is that Robbie
the assembly
from
and the
my
Senate.
knowledge,
And I'm not
from my knowledge, Robbie tried everything he could to try to remove TFP democratically.
Yeah, but at
going
the
to
same
defend
time,
this person.
Julie called me out for being undemocratic, but I didn't get called undemocratic for trying to remove him.
What? No, we're calling you out for being undemocratic because you're being undemocratic right now.
Oh,
I'm
no.
saying you.
No, before right now, before this stuff with the election stuff like that, there was people in Julia, not specifically talking about me, but talking about TUDS being undemocratic for keeping TFP. At the same time, when I tried doing something about it,
Right.
I also got called undemocratic within my own race.
You aren't TUDS.
Yeah, but there once again, there were people claiming that TFB being there was undemocratic, but I want to do something about it because TUDS is my project that I initially started. I want to do something about it so that we won't lose our reputation and be considered undemocratic by keeping him. But I was also called undemocratic within my own ranks in Parliament for trying to remove him. So, like, at that point, I can't even win. I can't even make everybody happy.
And that is the reason why admin shouldn't be involved in politics.
okay. So what am I going to say? Am I cutting out?
Yes.
You're still cutting out,
You're still cutting out.
Unfortunately.
Oof. Oh wow.
Do I even have my phone with me? I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Oh, let's just eat. I do have it with me.
So, Robbie, can you address the fact that you knew you had these powers, and the only reason anything's getting done about the fact that you had these powers is the fact that we have to dig and call you out for it?
Well, I can address that I do have all those powers. But
And the sky's blue.
I was trying to comprehend what you should say like that. Of course, y'all knew I could admit to that. But you were asking, will I? But yes, I will admit that I knew that stuff about. But and once again, that's just an old relic that's in the Constitution that I also forgot to remove.
Robbie, I really hear you're missing the point of what I'm trying to say. It's the fact that you knew, we didn't, and I get that you're going to change it now, or at least you're promising you are, but it is the raw matter of fact that you had that power and didn't tell us and weren't planning on telling us. The only reason, from our perspective, that we know this is shaking out the way that it is because we called you out. For all we know, you had a dictatorial scheme to run TUDS as the supreme executive for the rest of the day, for until time. And the only reason you're not now is because we were able to call you out. Like, you've lost our trust. Is that I really think what this boils down to. And we know you're a good person. We want you to be able to rebuild that trust. And maybe a comment or anything that could help move that in the right direction.
No, I think I have an entirely different approach. I just want to endorse. I just made a decision in the past 15 seconds. I think we should do an entirely different alliance. Don't let me run it at all. I think all services just either go their own separate ways or I don't know.
We have the bedrocks of something good here.
But what?
Yeah, I agree that TUDS is a good idea.
It's just
But
that it's right now it's being so tainted that we need something to be done about it. And since you're the head of TUDS, even though you aren't necessarily TUDS as a whole, you represent TUDS and you have the power of TUDS. What are you going to do to fix this? And don't just explain your point of view. We know your point of view.
well, in terms of me fixing this, I don't want to say what I already said because I know y'all don't want to hear me say what I already said, but
Right, because we
there needs to be
want
changes.
solutions. We don't want the same thing over and over again.
Obviously, there needs to be a constitutional amendment because the supreme law, being the Constitution, does obviously empower me in a lot of definitely dictator-like ways that Best Your Namer did mention.
Okay, what's going to be in that amendment?
Someone can who I just got another mention touch. My bad. I got straight. Like, and most of it comes from Article 6 that established the administration. So most of it just like if you want to go into Constitution yourselves, which is visible itself. Like all those powers gonna be removed, and there are other permissions that people in administration in general, not just me, because I do have just another random friend who's not too involved in the subject. I'm just being an administrator. But like, this is other administrators who like also have like powers that should be removed, need to be removed. I'll say that.
Okay, but you say repealed. What does that mean?
Well, obviously, just be removed from the Constitution.
Who are those powers going to be?
They would be removed from the Constitution because obviously you all have rightfully established as the dictator power that I should not have, and y'all have successfully made me understand that. So I need to be I need to start being more responsible and like removing that. So what once again, just repeal the like obviously giving me ability to remove people from certain institutions, stuff like that, and all the things that the best usernamer said, basically all those powers that I don't know if I need to go over them again, but y'all do want to y'all did hear him say all those definitely dictator stuff thing. Those just basically straight up removed, not allowing me to do that. It more keeps me as a supervisor and it needs to democratically um sustain that. So
Okay, so would you be willing to
my
commit?
bad.
Would you be willing to commit to supporting this amendment and allowing it to pass if it were to be proposed?
Well, and the short answer, yes, because like, yeah, if I give the long answer, yes, because if I don't, what's gonna happen is gonna there's this strong thing called democratic resilience because there's always a problem with having a dictator as with owners stuff like that. Bad. I still got background noise. There's still gonna be a problem. My bad. I'm super sorry about that. That's background noise. But basically, yes, and I have to because there's democratic resilience. That's from like, well, if he doesn't want to accept these changes and reforms, well, guess what? He don't care about democracy. That's what people are going to see out of me, and that's what everyone's going to see, not just Julians. That's not what your best username is seeing. That's what I don't know if I hear yet in next societies informed. I know Mardoni is informed because they're planning on leaving. Um, I still got back on this. Um, yeah, I would. In short, yes, I will be um in support of reforms, and then eh, everything that just gives me power just will be removed. I don't know what else saying. I still got background noise. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, so is there anything else to discuss? It looks like we covered a lot of stuff.
I think I've gotten everything I needed to say out.
Anthony? Anything else?
Okay, my bad. I thought I was gonna have that back on this one. Wow, no, the text I just sent and the chat for this stage. I just sent it. Saying that I just had my siblings behind me. So a few of them. So obviously what they was talking. But I don't know. At this point, this is more of just interviewing me. What else needs to be done? So. Oh my god, my bad.
Okay, so it looks like basically everyone's in agreement that constitutional reform is immediately necessary in order to preserve TUDS as an alliance in the future and to also improve the democratic qualities of the alliance by removing or reducing many of the powers that the Administrator General has to directly influence the politics of the server and just making the Administrator General more of an administrator.
On top of that, we do also need to regain trust in you.
Like trust can be rebuilt, but like I'm not y'all, so I don't know how much can be restored. And if like people can't like trust me enough to where they really want to participate, I can't know if I'm gonna be a good enough administrator in the first place or supervisor, whatever I get demoted to as a result of everything happening here.
I have a hard hitting question for you.
Wait, who was I
Do you
saying?
think it is in the best interest of TUDS for someone else to become the admin?
I don't. Well, all right. The best interest within TUDS now.
No.
Are you saying no as in you think I'm
No,
going to say no?
I'm saying no because I'm clarifying that is what you're saying.
Who was? I'm sorry. I've seen more stuff from the TUDS server. Probably not. Make sure this stuff. I mean, there's absolutely no coming back from this because, like, it's like there's the facts with like my powers in the Constitution, and now there's been another article created about that. No one's gonna announce anything. Oh, well, this is being recorded, so like, I don't know how much people want to listen to the entire thing, but like, there's some people who are not going to understand it. Hey, that's just a relic from when I previously tried running TUDS, and there was 3 previous servers between 4 all the current ones. There's a secret like history about it, just because it was completely different attempt. Not completely different, but almost completely different attempt of me trying to do this. Because in terms of the idea of TUDS, this is actually my 4th time, 3rd server doing it. But it's like the old relic and like in terms of my powers in Constitution, that's just an old relic that needs to be removed. Like other constitutions in this world have old relics and problems.
Robbie, Answer the question.
Oh, admin general. I forgot. I'm just once again my mind's off. Definitely admin general. I can't be honest by saying yes or no because I'll be the best answer. That's me being honest with you is I genuinely don't know because yes because of what I did, but like no because I don't know who else could be like truly independent for that for one independent from influence of one other server. So I generally don't know. I'm trying to being better and trying to be more responsible. I'm just trying to be honest.
Let's remove the hypothetical of having to think about who your successor would be. Do you think if there was someone who could have that capacity, do you think that change would be the best for TUDS?
Oh, if there was someone who could, okay. I had to process what you said.
If we could find a theoretical person to become admin general, do you think you stepping down after this is the best move for TUDS?
Probably, because once again, I can't honestly say yes or no. Because I genuinely can't think of it right now.
You can't honestly say yes or no.
Well, see, I'm not. If I would say yes or no, I'm definitely not for like no, but like it is like I'm like definitely not for yes either. Because like I can't be true. I can't truly know my intentions of admin general right now because this stuff is like we're just entering the stages of this climax and problems dying now. So I honestly cannot provide you an answer with that. Not because I don't want to communicate or be difficult. Like I just don't know if me immediately being job at admin general or like within a short span of time, like a week or less. I don't know if that would be totally beneficial. Like in the longer run, and then we go a lot digging deeper into finding a different admin general or just find a different role, like create a supervisor role or to not do that. Some other admin team to take care of stuff. They can, well, how do I put it? The questions that were asked, I don't know how to, in terms of a new administrator general, I don't know how I would approach that yet. I just got to be honest, I don't know how to approach that right now.
Okay, what about like a middle ground solution where we set up an administrative council? What were you saying?
I think that was background noise. I think that was background noise that you had heard from me. So that wasn't me saying something. That was background noise, I think.
Okay, so what about a middle ground solution, like say having multiple admins on like a council to oversee the TUDS Discord server, or alternatively, or maybe in addition to that, having an outside server audit the election, since of course there've been some concerns over that.
I'm gonna chime in on that election bit. And I know this is gonna come off as kind of like full of myself, but I genuinely don't know anyone more qualified to run elections than myself. And of course I can do proper precautions to make sure everyone feels comfortable about the results and stuff. But like STV can be kind of complicated sometimes, and I've not seen anyone been able to run an STV election, and so just for security in the election, I mean that's why I push so much for me being able to count it and stuff. Of course, as I said, everything's going to be public, and typically I like doing my vote counts live just so everyone knows what's going on. But
yeah, I believe watch you do one of them. I think I joined in on Julia watching it. No, I want to do that as well, but I don't even know if people can like trust my integrity. Now, regarding what you asked me about, being making you the admin of elections and voting. I don't know if I got another response from you in the admin form. Yeah, no, Mercutio, in terms of the Google form that I released, asking people if they want that form, Mercutio don't fill that. Now, I do once again understand that you fill that out. At this point, I'm just trying to tie out other things. So I know you did say earlier, after this stuff was found out, you did ask say, is this why you didn't make me the administrator, admin of elections voting, so that
I was
that's not trying to be anti-Julian.
I just saw all that all at once, and I just saw you stalling about making me or even considering me. And
okay.
I think from every Julian's first reaction, it coming across as kind of like a move to keep to keep Julia out of the Senate. When I saw that, I was like, oh, I connected the dots, and it was a quick assumption to make, but I apologize for that.
I'm not sorry, I'm just trying to think. I still got noise.
Anyway, is there anything else anyone wants to say in the audience on the stage? I know tonight's been very hectic, and I want to make sure everyone walks away from it feeling okay. I think the bottom line and the middle ground has been established here is no one had any ill intent. As most conflicts typically end up shaking, no one typically has ill intent. And just really just being a matter of a lot of fear, I think, on both sides of the aisle here. You know, Julians are worried about Mardonian influence, and not even just Mardonian, just I don't know, just people trying to block Julia out, and a lot of those fears were kind of like somewhat assured by those screenshots, and then I completely understand everyone else's position is like especially Robbie's when it comes to keeping any majority out of the Senate. I completely agree with that. It's just a lot of these things tend up shaking out as in like how things come across and how things are first read. So I think all of us need to walk away from this and take like 5 deep breaths after you see something controversial before jumping onto people, because I know Robbie was talking about not having a good night tonight because of all the hate he was getting. So definitely spread that message along. Be more patient when it comes to jumping to conclusions. Other than that, I'm glad we're going to be making some changes to TUDS, especially regarding that authoritarian shit that's in there. It still baffles me that was even in there to begin with, but as long as it's fixed, the ends justify the means, I suppose. But yeah, I think, look, I want TUDS to work out for everyone involved. I want Julian to be happy with it. I want the rest of the current TUDS members to be happy about it. Well, I'm not entirely sure what the point of TUDS is. I'm glad we're involved. I'm glad we're making international friends as Julians, or friends, trying to. But I honestly, and I want to say this from my perspective as a Julian, I think one of the main reasons that we wanted to join was to counter anti-Julian influence in TUDS. So while we're not going to be flat out obstructionists, we're going to warrant some critical thinking when it comes to stuff getting pushed through. Not that I think stuff is going to be pushed through anymore now that we're trying to improve relations. But other than that, I think everyone's going to walk away happy from this in a week or so. But changes need to be made, so that needs to be assured. Yeah. smiley face. I don't know. I find silences to be very awkward. Let's wrap it up, I guess.
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Anyway, thank you all so much for coming to the TIP special coverage. Yippee! Make sure to tune into TIP for more headlines. Actually, my whole speech. I suppose I should probably make sure TIP headlines go through some sort of review before we post them. But come to TIP for all your news. All right. Have a good night, guys. Be safe.